Hello, everyone. Welcome to the debut episode of the Reality Whisperer webcast. I'm very happy to be with everybody here today. Looking forward to a really amazing show. Got a microphone, so it's going to be a lot better than the other videos that I've done in the past where the microphone was a little bit shoddy. So this is the new Reality Whisperer webcast, and we got a lot of exciting things that we're going to be talking about this evening. And so we're just going to firstly get things started by just kind of going into kind of our associated sponsor here. Portaltoascension.org, live events with the world's top conscious experts, one of our associates here on the Reality Whisperer webcast. So you can go to portaltoascension.org. There's a lot of amazing events that are coming up. Rob Gauthier and myself will be doing a channeling event here in the next couple of months with them. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be a channeling workshop. And there's all kinds of really exciting speakers that they have, from Stephen Greer to Michael Tallinger, and a lot more. So feel free to check it out, portaltoascension.org. And of course, another announcement with the upcoming Channel Nexus online event. This is again a group channeling event that's going to be happening on April 24th, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific. So again, registration is now available for Channel Nexus. We've had quite a few early birds already purchase, but if you just are starting to be aware of this event right now, we're going to have Rob Gauthier, myself, Roxanne Swinehart, and Susie Beeler, who channels Prime Creator, who's going to be a part of this large multi-channel online event. So it's going to be really exciting, and I'm looking forward to April 24th. So if you want to be a part of this, just go to realitywhisperer.com. You'll see the poster right there, and you can register online for the Channel Nexus event. And of course, here we are, the Reality Whisperer webcast. I, of course, am your host, Brad Johnson. So again, thank you everybody for joining us this evening, at least where I am, 6 p.m. Pacific. And of course, we're doing this every single Tuesday, I should say, from 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So for everybody who's joining in on the broadcast right now, you guys are able to leave questions. And at the latter half of the show tonight, I'm going to be going into questions. I may even bring Adronis in to share a particular insight depending upon the questions. I just ask everybody who does have questions, let's keep them kind of semi-personal to general, just so it fits the overall theme of tonight's show. And tonight's show, of course, is all about secrets of the earth. Dun, dun, dun. So we're going to have a really exciting topic here tonight. And again, feel free to leave your questions. We already have quite a few questions on the Q&A app. So if you have a question relating to everything that's being talked about tonight, or anything else that may be on your mind, feel free to share in our Q&A app. All right, we are going to kick off the show tonight by looking at this. Firstly, we're going to kind of look into some current events, and this basically represents that China unveils a proposal for a $50 trillion global electricity network. So China has unveiled a proposal for a $50 trillion global electricity network that would help fight pollution and the effects of climate change, worldwide infrastructure to be ready by 2050. So this is going to be something that I'll be including in the video description once we're in the archive for tonight's broadcast, so you guys can go ahead and check out the article as well too. I just checked this out this morning and I was like, oh yes, this is great. This is what Adronis has been talking about as well too for probably almost a year now. Was getting the insight of saying that there's going to be a new shift relating to a whole new alternate energy system that's going to come through. Some people were thinking, well, okay, maybe this will be 0-point energy. You know, maybe there will be some type of magnetic technology that will come forward. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I certainly do see that happening in the times ahead. But Adronis was basically stating in one of these channels, I think it's either in one of my videos on the YouTube channel, or it may have been through an online presentation, but he was basically stating that a lot of the new technology that's going to come through that will be energy-based will be based on the alternative conventional forms, so such as solar power, such as wind power, such as tidal power. That's going to be a lot of the new infrastructure. So this is really, really exciting news to hear this. So we're just kind of tackling the events here, current events about what's happening. And of course, a lot of people have heard about the Panama Papers as well too. I was checking out this again a couple of days ago once it started to come forward. And I've been telling a lot of people on my Facebook, this is a amplified ripple effect about what's happened with the Panama Papers, with exposing a lot of these offshore accounts and everything else. This is just the beginning to a very large state of disclosure. And a lot of us have been kind of worried about that and saying, well, I've heard, people like Corey Good and others talk about partial disclosure. And what's going to happen with partial disclosure is sure that this thing is going to last well over 100 years before we actually get 100% full disclosure. And there was a video that I did not too long ago. I'm pretty sure people who are tuning in right now have probably already seen that video with Adronis talking about partial disclosure. And that, a lot of us have been concerned about this and saying that, well, are they going to pull this off? Adronis has mentioned that there is a partial disclosure plan, but it won't fly. So basically, full disclosure is, you could say, this kind of cosmic wave that is coming toward us right now. And it doesn't matter if it's a small group or a small nest of groups that wants to have this particular type of partial disclosure. It's not in their hands anymore. And so where we're going as a culture is we're going to see a lot more of this exposure on a disclosure level. I basically have stated that 2016, and Adronis has stated that 2016 is a year of illumination. It could also be referred to as a year of disclosure. So there's a lot of things that are going to be happening, and it's kind of like just seeing the benchmark of a lot of stuff. It's like how a lot of people saw 2012. 2012 was the benchmark of really kind of moving into this unified consciousness, and 2016 is the benchmark of disclosure. And so we're going to start seeing a lot more of this. A lot of it will at first be very political, financial, etc. Going through a lot of different forms of corruption and shedding light relating to a lot of us, where, I guess you could say the truth movement, the spiritual movement, well, a lot of us knew for quite a few years. And now this is just starting to come into light. It's kind of like with Edward Snowden bringing about his documents and knowing about the NSA spying. We've all known about this for quite some time. But now it's moving into the mainstream. And so a lot of this, I guess you could say, clotted information that a lot of us had known through the grapevine, through grassroots, is now going to start taking effect here in the mainstream. So it's kind of like looking at the tortoise and the hare example. The hare would represent the grassrooters, the truth movement, the spiritual movement, is that we're very much aware of a lot of this information that's coming about. Now that slow tortoise is now starting to pick up, oh, this is interesting. NSA spying on us. Oh, this is interesting. Offshore bank accounts, blah, 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 blah. So now the tortoise is catching up. But the speedy little hare is always going to be many miles ahead. So that's precisely what's happening here in 2016, is the trends, the hitting of the tortoise. The tortoise is picking up the papers and seeing this now, and now it's being revealed into the mainstream. So there's going to be a lot more disclosure where this has come from so far in 2016. So I'm looking forward to the days, the weeks, and the months ahead, as there's going to be a lot of great stuff. Again, there's been a lot of talk about this coming fall. The individual who I'm going to be interviewing here coming up on this coming Sunday, Elena, she is a secret space program insider who basically did the 50 year and back. She too was very, very adamant about communicating relating to this coming September, that there could be certain forms of major disclosure happening here. Adronis himself just doesn't like to give dates, but he has stated that before the end of 2016, we're going to be seeing a lot of disclosure that may relate to extraterrestrials, life on other planets, that may be coming about. But I think it'll start off kind of very, very quietly, just kind of whispering itself off into the night, and then just eventually starting to build up. It's not just that you're throwing a baby a gigantic prime rib steak. You're starting to nurture a lot of these things. So it may be the revealing that there was once an ancient civilization on our planet, that we're now admitting this. Maybe it's something more with Roswell. Maybe it's something to do with another exoplanet or planet within our star system that they want to share more about. Oh, hey, there's trees on Mars. Oh, there's vegetation on Mars, or whatever it may be. So something is really going to come about here before the end of 2016. So again, it is Disclosure City. It's moving more deeply into, indeed, a year of illumination and a year of disclosure. All right, so we are going to begin tonight's broadcast with Secrets of the Earth. So I'm going to be going through just these particular types of topics that we see here. The inner Earth, looking into caves, the North Pole inner entrance, a hollow entrance, the inner Earth oceans. We're going to be, or the inner Earth ocean, I should say. We're going to look into ley lines, the pyramids, functioning of the ancient sites. Then we're going to look into dimensional portals, the Bermuda and the Dragon Triangles, dimensional time travel. I'm actually going to share with you guys tonight a certain technology that does exist that can allow you to time travel. All right. This is actually very similar to a device that I do have that's based in radionics. So we are going to look into this according to the creator of this particular technology, that utilizing the ley lines, you're actually able to invoke an out-of-body time travel experience. So we're going to look a little bit more into that technology tonight. There's also information on other beings on the Earth, looking into the giants, the Nephilim, the Sasquatch, the inner Earth entities. And of course, when I was doing the event page here, I put out a picture of a blue-skinned Argothan. And so I'm going to be talking about that tonight as well, too. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into Secrets of the Earth. So this is one shot of a cave, and I believe this one was in Vietnam, one of those really deep entrances into the inner Earth. You know, there's been some eyewitness testimony that Corey Good has also talked about the inner Earth entrances, looking into these civilizations that exist very deeply under the Earth. So we're seeing just some really beautiful, amazing images here. But again, this doesn't even do it justice. This is just kind of going, you know, right below the surface from a lot of people, a lot of testimonies from people who have had encounters with the inner Earth. It's like being inside another Earth within our own planet. That these particular types of beings have utilized crystal technology. And this was actually something that Adronis was talking about, relating to the inner Earth, stating that a lot of these particular beings, human beings, are actually utilizing certain forms of crystalline-based technology. And it's something that was actually utilized back in the times of Atlantis. That, according to Adronis, he stated that when Atlantis was in its prime, I guess you could say, that a lot of the technology that was available, that was given to the Atlanteans, was from the Argothan network, was from these inner Earth beings, and basically cooperating and associating together, perhaps with certain groups or perhaps with the consensus of Atlantis altogether, to actually share in this type of crystal technology. But apparently this crystal technology that was utilized back in the times of Atlantis, and we are going to be talking about Atlantis here in a little bit, was given to mankind. And basically when they started misusing this particular type of crystal technology, it was withdrawn from them. It was taken away from them, and saying, no, I think we made a mistake here. I think we basically gave humans too much power too quickly. And so this has been one of the biggest secrets of the Earth, is looking into the inner Earth. Is the Earth hollow? Maybe that's a big question to look at, right? You know, we often speculate about this idea and saying that, you know, we have a North Pole, we have a South Pole opening, but is it true that the Earth itself is hollow? Well, that's a good question. According to Corey Good and according to Randy Kramer, who I did an interview with not too long ago, they were basically stating that it is a honeycomb Earth. Adronis has referred to it as a clustered Earth, which is basically the same thing, just looking into these vaults and these areas, these pockets within the planet. Now, there's a little video clip here that I'm going to show. It doesn't have any sound, but this was something very, very interesting that I'm just going to pull up right now. And this is apparently leaked footage relating to the inner Earth. So basically seeing this North Pole opening that was filmed in the Russian space, or upon the Russian space station Mir, and taking a look here at the possible North portal opening that leads into the inner Earth. And basically we're seeing this light ray here that represents perhaps like the Aurora Borealis. So a very, very fascinating video. You guys can find this on YouTube. I think it is referred to as opening to Argotha, or the Argotha North Pole entrance. You can check that out as well too. But I've always just been very fascinated with that video. I've seen that video, I think, for almost about a year now. And I remember looking at this and like, whoa, that's pretty damn cool. So there's a lot of people that have, again, had personal encounters with the Argothan network as well too. But we are going to be getting into the Argothan network a little bit later on. So again, going back into the inner Earth here, that again, through sharing, through insight, that it is a clustered or a honeycomb Earth. A lot of people do feel that it is hollow. You know, if you go inside the northern or the southern poles, maybe you just go inside this hollow opening and there's this hollow entrance to a hollow world. Well, I will state that the moon looks a lot like that. If you're actually to go inside the moon, you would actually see that it is actually a hollow spacecraft in that way. But when you're looking at the Earth, no, it's more like a nest, a honeycomb, a cluster of different vaults and different pockets that contain other beings. So this is, again, a really big secret of the Earth. Will this start to reach disclosure? Probably in the next little while. I think there's still a lot of basic stuff that needs to be addressed first, relating to life on other planets, relating to, you know, extraterrestrials, extra-dimensional life, and so forth. So, you know, fingers are crossed to being able to see that we could see a lot more relating to the inner Earth beings. Again, Elena, the person who I'm going to be interviewing here this coming Sunday, has had connections as well too with the Argothans, the inner Earth beings. So we're going to be talking to her as well too. Randy Kramer hasn't talked too much about the inner Earth when I interviewed him, but I am looking to bring Randy Kramer back on again in the next little while, and having another follow-up interview with him, because again, his information was just absolutely incredible. So that is giving the idea about the inner Earth, you know, what's happening inside the inner Earth, because we're going to be coming back into that. So we're going to be looking into certain entities that reside within the inner Earth. What we're going to look at next is the ley line map of the world. And so we basically have like a electromagnetic grid across our planet. And that this particular grid has been strategically built. It has been built primarily around the times of Atlantis. So a lot of people that have referred to a lot of these ley line projects, or a lot of these areas that have built sacred sites through beings like Thoth or Toth, you know, whoever you want to call them as, that had a certain form of responsibility relating to the Giza complex, the Giza plateau. But basically what's really interesting about these ley lines is, again, you'll find that upon all the land masses, even underwater as well too, you'll find that there are ancient structures built just upon these ley lines, from churches, from temples, to pyramids, to Stonehenge. I'm going to go through this list here. So we have the Giza plateau here. We have Stonehenge here. And a very interesting finding that has recently come about, recently got my attention here, was an underwater pyramid was found near Portugal. This has possible ties to Atlantis. In 2013, a colossal underwater pyramid has been discovered in the Azores Islands of Portugal. The structure measures 60 meters in height, with its base being not less than 8,000 square meters. And it was discovered by an amateur sailor by the name of Diocletian Silva. I hope I pronounced that name right. But, very interesting. Looking into this. Again, the article will be available in the video description if you guys want to check it out as well too. So I was really, really excited to hear this. There have been a lot of people that have talked about and theorized that parts of Atlantis could be existing around the Azores Islands of Portugal. Some people have also said Bimini Islands, you know, right around the Caribbean. But this is just a really interesting find, looking into this underwater pyramid and looking into more evidence that could lead to Atlantis. Now, Atlantis itself, from Jonas's perspective, really represented an era upon the planet, that there was, in that sense, indeed a continent, and then eventually became islands of Atlantis. There once was a super large continent, I should say, known as Mu, or Lemuria, as we often refer to it, based in the Pacific. So looking into these particular ancient Earth mysteries as well too, the secrets of the Earth, you know, what were the cultures like? What were Lemurians like? Or the Muans in that way? Or the Atlanteans themselves. So as talked about before, that the Atlanteans were given this type of crystal technology from the Argothan network, and that they eventually abused this. So it's a very, very long story for to look more deeply into our Earth's ancient history, which will probably be in a future episode. But giving the idea that, you know, we have this ley line network here, that, you know, all these sacred sites, all these ancient temples, all these pyramids, everything have been built upon these areas. Why build that? Why build it on these specific areas if they don't mean anything? There's something very, very deeply unknown to us once we really get into these areas, actually start exploring these ley lines, going into these temples, these churches, these pyramids, and starting to see what is attempting to unfold here. So it's kind of just giving you that little curiosity and saying, what is it that the ancients knew? What's really going on here relating to what they knew? Another particular sacred site that we can take a look at is Angkor Wat. So again, a really beautiful structure here, again, upon a ley line, and just marvelous. You can see just so much geometry that reflects the pineal gland, the pine cone in that way. And so looking at this amazing site, absolutely beautiful. But again, it's just kind of looking at it. If you actually go to these sacred sites and actually take a look at them and seeing how the energy feels around them, that's certainly been a goal of mine, just wanting to go somewhere to like Egypt or going to the areas of Guatemala, Chichen Itza, and being able to check out a lot of these amazing sites and just feeling the energies, being present there. But again, later on in the broadcast, there's really going to be some great information revealed as it relates to the ley lines and time travel. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that here shortly. So we're going to move on here and take a look at the triangles, basically looking at the Bermuda Triangle firstly, and understanding that this is indeed a stargate, and that this represents a connection to perhaps very, very deeply sunk pyramids that existed, and that there's been a lot of reports of planes or boats flying into these areas of the Bermuda Triangle, and of course disappearing, not sure whatever happened to them, what took place. And so that's a big mystery. There's also been reports of these particular ships or these planes that have actually returned recently as well too, going into another dimensional Earth and then coming back out again into another particular timeline. So here's one here with the Dragon's Triangle as well too. So again, what's going on? What is with this phenomena pertaining to the triangles, the mysterious triangles that come through? Is it a pyramid network that is actually interfacing together, an ancient type of technology that's buried deeply underneath the oceans and is creating this amazing phenomena where people go inside and they come out of another parallel Earth? That again is a really big secret, a very big mystery. I'm sure there's not a lot of people that can really tell us that have gone there and come back and saying, oh, this is what's happened. Maybe I just all of a sudden moved into another parallel Earth, and I was there for a moment, came back out. Oh, now all of a sudden it's maybe 50, 60, 100 years later, and all of a sudden here I am on another parallel Earth. And that would make sense with a lot of information that Adronis has shared as it relates to different timelines, different world lines, different dimensional lines that can represent different Earths. So if we go into these particular portals, we can actually time travel, right? So we're looking at the Bermuda Triangle, we're looking at the Dragon Triangle, and we can see that there's a lot of abilities here for people to actually go into these triangles and pop into another parallel Earth. Perhaps there's even another Earth that have entirely different themes assigned to them. So it's a big mystery looking into what these particular triangles, going into these particular areas and what they're attempting to share here, like why use this particular technology? Is it something to do with pyramids? Is there something in regards to this triangulation that can perhaps not even move us right into parallel Earths, but actually going into stargates and actually being able to move into different planets, different areas of the galaxy, again, other different extra dimensional versions of Earth? It's very, very fascinating. We still have to really give time to research that a lot more. And so one of the other areas I was going to be tackling here, of course, is looking into the time travel. Is there an actual device that has actually been created that can help us to look into this? Well, there's a person that has invented a particular device here. This is actually something I discovered on the internet not too long ago, called the hyperdimensional resonator. Now, looking at the, I guess you could say, blueprint of this, it is very similar to a radionics technology. Back in 2014, I was talking to a friend of mine who had connections with this individual who was able to build radionic machines. And that radionics is basically working together with aligning yourself to a certain frequency or vibration. It's kind of like seeing yourself as a radio tuner and being able to coordinate the dials, coordinate the vibration that works together with crystals, with Tesla coils, with orgonite, and being able to fine-tune this particular type of amplification of vibration to attract certain forms of energies that may be within your spectrum to manifest. So it's not to say that you're going to tune the dial and all of a sudden, have superpowers or anything like that. It's being able to look into areas that some people say, oh, I could use some more financial abundance. Maybe I want to go on a trip. Maybe I want to attract a relationship. Maybe I want to successfully start a new business. Well, again, that's what these things can do, being able to work on your healing as well, too. So this is basically a hyperdimensional resonator. And I'm just going to read the little footnote here on the bottom. The hyperdimensional resonator is connected to a 110-volt outlet. The dials are turned to a specific day, month, and year. This is done while the time coils are placed around the head. The resonator is activated, and the electromagnet is placed over the solar plexus for 3 minutes. The unit is deactivated. Coils are removed, and subject should find him or herself projected into the future. So basically, what is this guy saying? Again, his name escapes me, but again, I'll have the information in the video description. Well, this guy is basically saying that if you go to a node, that again, if we're looking into the ley lines here, if you go into one of these nodes that interconnect, so one of the areas here in North America would be down by California, Mount Shasta. That is basically a node. It's basically where a lot of these different lines intersect together to see like this kind of power node. Well, apparently if you go into either one of these ley lines or even to the nodes, which again amplify a great deal of energy, with this particular type of technology and utilizing the instructions with this, you will actually be able to invoke an out-of-body time travel experience. You will actually be able to, utilizing the amplification of this device, decide exactly where in a probable future timeline you would like to go visit relating to Earth. So this guy has actually brought this out. I believe it was back in 2002 that this guy was sharing this information. He does actually have a website where you can actually order this particular device that gives you an out-of-body time travel experience. So it's as I was talking about with radionics as well too, because the device is very similar. It uses Tesla coils, it uses crystals, it may use orgonite as well too. But it's a very, very fascinating device. It's interesting because, when we go off in dream planes, we are accessing different realities. We're going to different realms. We're moving into different dimensions in that particular way every time you go off to sleep. So being able to actually utilize a device that works together with your energy body, that works together with yourself, and being able to invoke an out-of-body time traveling experience, it's pretty wild. So I don't know. Maybe this is something that I might look into as well too and see what comes through. But again, there will be some information for anybody who wants to look more deeply into this about time travel. It is very possible. If a lot of people are familiar with John Titor's work back in 2000, when he came on message boards and he started talking about his time machine, a very different type. Speaking of John Titor, this individual who created this box here, this time travel device, actually stated that the adult John Titor bought this from him. From his own claim as well too. So again, it's up to you guys. You guys can go ahead and check it out. The link again will be in the video description and see what you think about it. Now, basically, if we're looking over the specs of this here, that there's something called a rubbing plate. Now, this is actually something that does exist in radionics technology. The box that I do have, I can't grab it right now because it's in use. But it does have what's known as a rubbing plate. So if you're able to see like a rectangular box like this, you have a copper plate right here on the top left-hand corner, and you have a plastic rubbing plate on the top right-hand corner. On the bottom of the box, you have 9 dials. And these 9 dials are basically like radio tuners. And they're actually being able to test the vibration that you're looking to attract. With the copper plate, this represents an input. With the plastic rub plate, this represents an output. So the input would actually go based upon your intention and the symbolizing of the intention itself. So let's say, for example, that you wanted to attract more money into your life. So basically what you're doing is you're taking a piece of paper and you're writing down what it is that you wish to attract. I wish to become more financially abundant. And now you want to create a symbol that represents some type of relationship to what it is that you're asking for. So being able to have like a $5 bill, for example, and maybe being able to draw on it an infinity symbol, right? So you want infinite financial abundance to come your way. So basically what you're doing is you're putting that intention written on the slip, and you're putting that $5 bill with the infinity sign written on it, and you're putting it on the copper plate. Now this is basically giving you the idea that you are now giving the input, the intention to come forward. The output would relate to several different things. One, it can be like a sample of your hair. Secondly, it could be a photograph of yourself. Thirdly, it could be a signature, right? So you're basically letting the box know that the input relates to financial abundance, and here's the symbol for holographic data, that what I want to bring into myself. And the output represents who this is for. So it's going to come into your own energetic field. It's captured your hologram. And that's basically with the radionics here. And then what you would do is you would use your thumb and you would just start rubbing against the plastic plate. And as you rub against the plastic plate, you're working with the dials. And so you're just saying to yourself, I wish to become financially abundant. And you're tuning the dials and you're waiting for a stick sensation to happen. Basically what the stick sensation is, it's kind of like if you're rubbing a part of a surface that has like water on it, for example. All of a sudden it just gets a little bit harder, right? So it's kind of like you're rubbing like this, all of a sudden it becomes hard to continue to rub. This is basically a kinesiology type effect. So you're basically rubbing this in until it sticks. This is giving you the confirmation through kinesiology that that dial, to wherever it is, if it's at a 3 position, then that's basically the appropriate vibration that is needed to assign the amplification of this intention, right? And you're just repeating it with all the other dials, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay? So that's basically the type of invention that I have here, given to me by a fellow who builds these things. And it works great. Like I said, it won't work for every single thing that you can think of. I'd like to grow wings and fly out the window today. Not really going to happen. It's not very plausible within your reality. But if you would like to attract financial abundance, if you want to attract that particular job that you've been looking for, applying a new career to yourself, discovering a relationship, looking to heal yourself in certain areas, the radionics box can be very, very good. The version I have is known as the wishing machine. And it has worked really, really great. I've used it for healing. I've used it for financial abundance. I've used it just to attract and manifest certain projects, and they have all come to pass. So it is very, very good. I also use the same thing using light circuitry. So light circuitry as well too does the exact same thing with the radionics. With me, I'm just able to tune into that frequency, draw out a light circuit, and then just place it under my bed. And it works, actually I would say it even works even stronger than the radionics box as well too. But the radionics box gives you a really good energetic of amplification and bringing this inbound information relating to the manifestation that you want to work with. So basically I'm sharing this because this is what it feels like for this particular type of time travel technology. Looking into something very similar that has a rubbing plate, that has dials, and that you're able to set your own intention about time traveling. So very, very interesting. Now, the other big secret is if people feel that, well, maybe I'm not too sure about that. Can I use something like radionics to time travel? Yes, you can. So again, that's something else that you can look at. It may be based in the dream state. It may be in meditation as well too. It all depends in regards to how you program the box to state that I would like to actually have an out-of-body time travel experience. So I will also leave, I'm going to try and remember all this. I will also leave a link to the individual who is selling these particular radionics boxes as well too. So if you're not too sure about this time resonator device, you could even check out radionics, and you can take my word for it because I have a box and it works really good. I have not worked with time travel yet. Maybe that's something I might work with. But again, it's just all about being able to set that intention and being able to develop an appropriate symbol that can actually allow you to time travel. So looking into the aspect of the ley lines, looking into our own magnetic vibration, a big secret of the earth that is looking to be revealed here a lot more. All right, so our next stop here in the secrets of the earth is we're going to start looking into the dimensional beings or the other beings that have walked the earth. So I was just being able to kind of scour the internet and just see what other people were able to find. And I found something really interesting from Michael Tallinger. And I'm just going to show this clip here right now. And this is from Michael Tallinger's YouTube channel. So you guys may be able to hear it a little bit in the background.
What's fascinating about this is anybody that does a study of this will notice this piece sticking out here. It's like when you put your foot in mud and you pull it out, your toes will lift up.
So he's basically describing this giant footprint that's found in South Africa.
Overhang here. It's spectacular. And I see that people have been visiting here because they've been leaving little coins here.
And so we're seeing coins here in the bottom because there's been a lot of visitors from this giant footprint.
And show
and again, this can be found on Michael Tallinger's YouTube channel.
Okay. Well, I don't know who else has filmed this, but I think we'll put this up for everybody to see, for everyone to really appreciate. This is a spectacular bit of human history. There were giants on Earth.
Wow, pretty cool, huh? There's also been a lot of photos as it relates to giant skulls, giant skeletons that have been found. I can't tell, a lot of them if they're actually genuine or if just photoshopped, whatever it may be. But being able to look at something like that with a guy like Michael Tallinger, again, who just oozes authenticity with everything he does, it's quite impressive. So being able to see that beings that you could refer to as the Nephilim, the Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them, these beings that once walked the earth. There's a lot of talk as well, too, that there are giants on Mars and there were giants on Meldeck walking around as well, too. And very, very tall beings, anywhere from 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 feet tall. Amazingly gigantic. Randy Kramer has also talked about meeting a giant on the Jupiter space station as well, too. That it was about 60-foot high ceilings, and there was this big, gigantic male, I guess you could say, male entity that probably about 40, 50 feet tall. And I was just kind of joking around with them, like, hey, puny human, how's it going, right? So getting the idea that we had these amazing, enormous beings on the planet, you got to kind of be concerned about, how gravity makes them feel walking around in that way. Dolores Cannon, even in her own videos, the late Dolores Cannon was actually talking about, her videos in her books, I should say, sorry. In her book was also talking about giants that were walking upon the earth as well, too, and that they were kind of like brutes. They really didn't know how to communicate properly. They're almost Neanderthal-like. They would basically just do grunts, like, maybe worse than that. But that's giving the idea that there's just so much about our ancient history that we're not aware of. And so many secrets pertaining to the earth from other civilizations, to the inner openings of the planet, to all the ley lines and all the structures that have been built upon the ley lines, looking into the idea of time travel. It's an amazing, amazing planet that we live on here. And of course, it's not just about giants as well, too. We have other particular beings that have been around for quite some time. Again, a lot of cheesy kind of video reality shows, I guess you could say, talk about Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, right? Now, here's an interesting story as well, too. I have talked to an individual. I don't know if I want to reveal his name yet, but he is actually a celebrity. And he was actually talking to me about, I think it was about 2009, 2010. And basically what happened is that his neighbor was actually able to see a Sasquatch. Just being able to have kind of like a small instrument. He wasn't able to describe the instrument to me, but he was basically stating that this Sasquatch, well over about 7.5 feet tall, was actually scanning this area where him and his neighbor resided. And it was actually a vortex that was there. And basically they were able to communicate with his neighbor telepathically and just saying, we mean no harm. We're just here to do some work. We're here to investigate this particular vortex. And there's been other people I've talked to as well, too, that have had connections or even personal communications with these Sasquatch-like beings, and that they're apparently quite friendly. I guess it depends on the type that you meet as well too. The Law of One books talk about 3 different types of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. The third representing that as a thought form, but there's apparently 2 different types. And from what I've discovered, actually, there may even be more types than that as well too. But basically, they would represent part of the Argothan network. A very interesting thing as well too is that the Sasquatches were apparently the original genetic template that allowed human beings to be what they are. So the Sasquatch themselves were the original genetic template for us. And this is basically that if you're looking back into our own states of genetic evolution, that human beings looked very Neanderthal-like in that sense. It's not going through the Darwinian evolution. You know, I don't subscribe to that idea. It's looking more into the idea that there are different forms of genetic templates. And basically, we have gone through 39 different versions of these genetic templates altogether, starting off with the Sasquatch race. Apparently that there were beings that came here millions and millions of years ago, and basically were able to, I guess you could say in the polite way, apprehend some of the Sasquatches, and being able to perform genetic experiments on them to mix together with their own DNA, as we have 22 different races contained within our DNA. Again, Corey Good and Alex Collier have talked about the 22 different genetic programs. Adronis has also commented in regards to the 22 different genetic programs. And apparently that they just started to mix and match a lot of these different forms of genomes together through the 22 different extraterrestrial races, and of course the 23rd chromosome, which represents the Sasquatch race. So basically we have this genetic pool of DNA within ourselves. Again, a gigantic secret of the Earth waiting to be revealed, hopefully sometime soon, but you never know. But this is getting the idea that utilizing genetics from the Sasquatch race, and that we start off, in kind of that, Neanderthal-like template. Very, very interesting. Now, 39 versions later, here we are as human beings in this way. So what else besides the Sasquatch are we looking at here? Well, we can look at insectoid or mantoid beings in that particular way, however you wish to refer to them as. Now, Randy Kramer has also talked about befriending some of these particular beings that existed on Mars. And apparently the beings that exist on Mars also exist on Earth. I don't have a reptilian photo here, but there are basically indigenous reptilians here on this planet as well too. But basically looking at this mantoid being, it's not quite like the obvious mantis being that you would see that would have like the appendages in that particular way. From what Randy Kramer had stated, that they have fingers, they have hands in this particular way. And basically some of them have like six arms, I think it was saying. But basically being able to utilize them for daily techniques or daily practices that we would do as well too. That insectoid beings, some that kind of look like ants, others that look like mantis, also exist within the inner Earth as well too, within these particular vaults. And again, as I stated, reptilians themselves also exist within the inner mantles of the planet as well. So we have the mantis, we have the Sasquatch, we have reptilians, and of course there is the human component as well too, pertaining to the Argothans. And this is going back into the picture that I've posted here, relating to a blue-skinned Argothan. Yes, I did draw this myself. It was kind of a quick job. I'm getting better with artwork, so it's getting on. The background there of the crystal cave was just something I found on Google Images. This is a good, appropriate way of looking at part of what the inner Earth. I've had visions of looking into what the inner Earth looks like, and it's amazingly beautiful. I actually did show this picture to Elena, the woman who I'll be interviewing here this coming week, and she was very much in resonance and saying, yeah, there are beings like this in the inner Earth. Environments are very much like this as well too. It's kind of like just being inside these very deep crystal caves, but everything is holographic. Everything is holograms. Basically, there are 6 human root races that exist within the Earth. So we basically have our traditional 5 root races that we would be familiar with, and the 6th root race would represent that of the blue-skinned Argothans. And so I created a little symbol, kind of like a little patch on this guy's chest. That's just a symbol that I was receiving intuitively to draw. Again, Corey Good has talked about this as well too, with the beings that have the Saturnian symbol as well too, and again, different types of the Saturn symbol. This is one that I was receiving though as well too, that looked like the harmonious aspect of the swastika, contained upon them. So these particular beings exist as well too, and that they are purists as well too. Again, Corey Good has talked about this quite well, and very much in resonance with that as well too. Some of them are kind of pissed, that humanity has abused a lot of their technology, that they gave the humanity this as a gift, and they were basically just planning to destroy the entire planet with that. So some of them are really not happy that we're here on the surface. Again, it's not something like, oh, abolish the humans, destroy them, and that. It's not like that. It's just that they kind of look at us with a raised eyebrow in certain ways. And, again, it's a very different type of factional aspect. There are those in that sense who do want to help humanity, and there are those in that sense who just don't want to be bothered, right? But because a lot of things are moving forward right now, that we will eventually get to that point where we will start to communicate with these beings a lot more. Adronis has also talked about incognito extraterrestrials as well too, walking upon the earth, another big secret, right? And just different types of beings that look very much like us, that can just walk down the street and we would not be able to tell the difference relating to them. So there's a lot going on our planet, and this is just not even scratching the surface about certain things, but we only have so much time to share this information as much as possible throughout a show like this. But just being able to really kind of get this grasp and understanding that, we have a lot of beings existing in our Earth that are human-like, or some that don't look human at all. That we, again, have giants that once walked the Earth, that we have the Sasquatch, that we have all these beautiful temples and pyramids and everything else existing on these ley lines, and that these ley lines are, again, capacitors. So if we're looking at an area, or if we're looking into a structure like a pyramid, we're getting the idea that, maybe this had something to do with time travel as well, with out-of-body experiences, with being able to pierce the veils and going into higher states of enlightenment, of being able to move past the wheel of karma, of time and space and of matter, and being able to return back into these illuminating realms of non-physicalized consciousness. And basically, the pyramids actually serve a lot of purpose. But if we're able to dissect the word of pyramid, P-Y-R, representing energy, Amid representing center or nucleus. So an energy center, an energy nucleus. So the pyramids are basically what you could also refer to these out-of-body experience, time dimensional transit portals as well too. And again, looking into things like the Bermuda Triangle, the Dragon Triangle as well too, and looking into these pyramids as well too, that function as this type of technology, creating this triangulum, and being able to open these gateways. And it's very true that there are technological stargates on the planet. We do have one in Iraq, we do have one in Yemen, we do have one in Antarctica. There's quite a few other places as well too, I'm sure, where others would be. And that these particular types of stargates would be no more different than the type of stargates that we see from the film or from the TV show Stargate. Being able to actually dial in an address and being able to go into a different area in space and time. So again, some more amazing secrets. So are we going to see these secrets today, this year? I would love to see that, but we don't know. That's a lot of stuff to take into from a very introductory crowd that is just starting to understand all these types of technologies. I certainly see it within the next few years, but again, we're really just starting to see the benchmark of the secrets of the Earth coming forward in this particular way as well too. So again, a lot to look forward to for this year, 2016, and just kind of looking into, again, barely scratching the surface of all of these particular types of technologies and wonders that are existing within the secret Earth. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining me again, just for this presentation today of Secrets of the Earth. Next week, we're going to get to questions here in just a moment or two. But next week, I'm going to be talking about the aura, the energy body, and healing technology. So that's going to be next week's program. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this presentation today relating to Secrets of the Earth. So we're going to start having a lot of these really exciting episodes. And we're also going to have some upcoming interviews as well too in the next few episodes to come. So I'm going to go ahead now and begin the Q&A. So if you guys have posted some questions, we're going to get to that. If you guys are still looking to post questions, now is your chance. You just go onto the event page or onto the YouTube page, click on the Q&A app, and you'll be able to ask your question and post it. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Q&A app here, and we're going to just take a look and see what some questions, what questions here have been posted. So there's one here from Anne Walton, and Anne asks, I am hearing a lot of info about intervention from ascended other dimensional races to reset the global monetary economic system. Any insight on when and how that will come about? Yeah, a very good question, Anne. Basically, what I've seen as well, too, again, another article that's come up is that the Chinese central bank is basically attempting to work with the IMF and utilize reserve funds to kind of stabilize the market. This is kind of going back to what Adronis is saying, is that there will be an opportunity of kind of like a unified currency situation is happening here, but not so much in the idea of like a one world currency, but it could be seen that way, that the Chinese central bank is actually utilizing the reserve currencies within the IMF to stabilize the global market. So basically, this is giving the idea that there may be some shakeups, but I do not see anything in regards to a total collapse. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff revealed this year as well, too. I think between this year and next year in 2018 are really going to be the core years where we're going to see a really big financial reset in that way. I guess you could say a financial reset or financial stability. But I was just being able to look at this article and like, this is interesting. So basically, I think we're past the point now where it's not about catastrophe anymore, where it's not about some gigantic global calamity. You know, any particular type of calamity is something that's localized or regionalized in that way. But as far as where we're going on the planet right now, I do not see anything relating to some type of horrific catastrophe that may represent a global financial collapse. I know there's been some other people that have predicted that some sort of gigantic global financial collapse is imminent. I don't see that. I know that there certainly will be shakeup points, and during these particular shakeup points that there will be opportunities to reveal. It's kind of like you're sliding in data dumps, right? And so everything of what's happened with the Panama Papers, for example, huge data dump, and being able to really kind of slide this in at a specific point that was appropriate, and now having the collective consciousness manifest this. So to me, that's really, really interesting. But again, I do feel that there could be something like a financial reset or financial stability, but there will be speed bumps along the way. But I do not see as something that's going to hit us into such a downward spiral and then trying to raise us back up again. I've talked about in the past relating to how our timelines are working right now on a collective level. And that basically, if we're looking at ourselves, you know, from many decades past, we were very much down here. And as we got closer to the millennium, 2012, we're starting to move up now, right? And so we're making this uphill climb, and there's a little bit of, you know, wiggly spots. There's some speed bumps along the way, but we're constantly reaching this state of ascension, right? You know, we're looking into the ascension of an aspect of energy that's coming up stronger. Because we're making this uphill climb, there's not enough momentum to bring us down here anymore, right? We're constantly climbing this. Again, we'll have little wiggles. We'll have little fluctuations here and there, but I do not see anything as it relates to a complete downfall and having for us to, you know, go into some severe post-apocalyptic dystopian situation and having to climb up again. You know, I don't see that happening whatsoever. There's just basically a particular type of momentum, and in order for us to actually get into this uphill climb, a lot of us on a collective level have had to do a lot of our inner work, have actually been able to reach our point where we are now rising the aspect of collective consciousness and not sinking it again. So being able to look into the monetary economic system, yes, there will most certainly be adjustments because it needs to adjust itself vibrationally relating to how the collective consciousness now sees itself. So again, I do not see that as a downward spiral plummet. I see it again as some wobbly areas that are going to continue to ascend in that particular way. So that's my own particular perspective on that. And I know Jonas would pretty much say the same thing. Okay, thank you, Anne, for your question. We're gonna go down here and check out some other ones here. Okay, here's one from Raul Zapata. I hope I pronounced your last name right, Raul. Raul asks, does color affect like it could stop our thought or change our thoughts, or they can change vibration? It's a good question, Raul, thank you. Well, color itself, yes. There are some certain forms of meditation techniques that I have taught people as well too, of just being able to observe colors in their minds. And basically I just find a color that is very, very soothing to you. And for those who are very, very visual, have done this very, very well. Some people, again, who may not be too visually prone in that way, I would basically just say, imagine what it feels like to touch the color blue. Imagine what it feels like to touch the color green. And you're basically just in this beautiful meditative state, relaxed, harmonized, and you're just feeling as if green energy is running through you, or blue energy or violet energy is running through you, and you're just connecting to that sensation. And this is basically helping you to move into a state of soft, soothing stillness, right? So basically, as I've talked about as well too, is that feelings really are the apex to life. It's not thoughts. Thoughts themselves are generated through feeling. Thoughts do not generate feelings. Feelings generate thoughts. So if we're basically looking in the idea of how feeling comes through, feeling is the instantaneity of action-reaction. So the law of action-reaction, one of the universal laws. The first thing that comes together through an action-reaction bridge is feeling, not thought. So feeling itself is actually what we do when we want to remote view. So I've been studying remote viewing since 2010. And basically what you do in remote viewing is you do not put any thought into anything whatsoever. Thought does not exist. What you're basically doing is interpreting feeling as soon as it hits you. So within a fraction of a second, you're pulling out all of this information that's coming through your feeling. You're just tapping into your feeling, and you're just allowing this energy almost to write itself, all this information that's coming out on your piece of paper, on your whiteboard, whatever it may be, to come out and to share this information. The same goes for channeling. Okay, in channeling, you don't think. Now, I don't know if everybody does that. I don't think when I channel Adronis. When he comes through, it's all a feeling exchange, and I'm not thinking about what's coming through the words. I'm just allowing the feeling to translate itself, to transmit that energy, and to share it. In remote viewing, they do the same thing, right? I've had debates with people on interviews as well too. So, oh, Brad, no, it's thought. Thought comes up, and thought generates feeling, and says, no, it's not possible. You can't do that. You know, it's basically that the heart comes first before the mind, right? If you're trying to put the mind before the heart, you're putting the cart before the horse. It really has to do with feeling. Feeling itself is what creates the action-reaction complex. And that is what's then eventually, like the branches of a tree, creating thought. So this is giving you the idea that the more that you are attuned and sensitive to feeling, you actually withdraw the degree of thought a lot more. In the book I'm writing right now, which is The Reality Whisperer Book 1, I'm talking about this as well too, about how you can tune in more into feeling. And that when you tune into feeling, you become more present. You're in the now moment, right? And so being in the now moment, you actually have this feeling of being ageless, of being timeless. If every single one of us was actually 100% 24/7 in that way, completely connected to the present moment, we would not age. That's how amazing it is. And that's all just part of the feeling of stillness, the feeling of calm, the feeling of serenity, the feeling of love, being able to move into that particular aspect, you know, not looking into love as an emotion, but seeing it as a state of being that is coming through that unique raw moment of feeling, right? So you could say that love is a feeling, not an emotion. So it is a state of being, of a feeling that's coming through and connecting with you in the now moment. But going back to your question, Raul, in regards to utilizing color vibration as a way of being able to change thoughts or even being able to silence thoughts, absolutely. It just depends in regards to how you program it, right? So it's kind of like looking at the radionics box, you know, that you're able to put your intention down, you're able to create a symbol based upon what it is that you're requesting, and then being able to use yourself as an output device. You have to tune those dials. You need to do the muscle testing, the kinesiology with the rubbing pad in that way, and then being able to attune yourself into an appropriate frequency, and then allowing this information from whatever the intention is to come through. So you can absolutely use that. If you feel that green is the color to allow peaceful, positive thoughts to come through rather than anything that's negative, you can program that and you can use that. If you feel that blue is just one that soothes you, that just keeps you still, that keeps you in the moment, utilize that as well too. Again, you're the creator here. This is your reality. There's no one else here. This is your universe. So utilizing any particular type of tactic that you feel stills the mind, calms the mind, relaxes the mind, or even brings in positive thoughts, to help counterbalance anything negative can absolutely work. So again, Raul, thank you very much for your question. It's really well done. Great question. Okay. That's impossible. Ask fancy mic get up works, Brad. Audio sounds great. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Susan asks, the mind loves the idea that it's first. It does, and that's very true, Susan. You got a point there. Susan Ramirez says the mind loves the idea that it's first. And that's basically what we build ourselves up, especially as a Western culture. You know, we want to feel that everything's logical, everything's got to have rational means, everything's got to, you know, make sense. You know, we got to have common sense. Sometimes common sense can't be common sense because, you know, part of ourselves is the irrational as well too. You know, it's basically looking that we have some type of familiar logical perception that this category that we're just experiencing now must fit into. And it won't, because logic is only based upon what has been experienced, not what is experiencing itself now. That's where logic has the flaw. Logic cannot see what's coming. It cannot observe this now moment. It's not possible. All logic can do is observe what has taken place. Everything pertaining to memory comes in the state of logic. Everything pertaining to feeling is the happenstantial synchronicity of the now moment. So feeling tells you what's happening right now. Logic tells you about memory. Logic tells you about things of what has happened in the past that we're taking a look at now. So again, we just have basically been creating this loop around ourselves. We've been basically just been putting the cart before the horse for a very long time. And so it's all about being able to fix that, to re-alter that. We're not abandoning logic by any means, but we're looking into the idea that logic is a complement to feeling, and that feeling itself is the horse, and the logic is riding behind in the cart. You know, the horse is the one that's stepping, the horse is the one that's moving us, and we're the one in the cart that's just enjoying the ride and say, oh, I really like looking at that patch of grass. That was nice, really green. You know, so however logic wants to play its role with you. But very much indeed, Susan. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, we're going to go down here and see what else we got here. Bonnie Daly asks, by the year 2025, what will the coastal line in the state of Florida look like? Will the state of Florida be once again underwater by that time? My answer would be no, but there are certain forms of fluctuations that are happening. Adronis has actually talked about in a private session relating to someone who wants to have like a long-term stay in Florida, buying a house for his family and for his generations, etc., that it would be good to have, you know, an area that's maybe a little bit more higher above ground. So there may be certain fluctuations relating to the water levels, the ocean levels, you know, maybe a couple feet or anything like that. But as far as Florida sinking in the ocean, no. There will again be some fluctuations. There will be some effects coming into the coastlines. But I mean, really looking into something of that of a devastating nature is very unlikely. That probably wouldn't be something that would happen maybe for about a century and a half at least. So even if there are certain things that come up relating to flooding or, you know, lands being engulfed by ocean in that sense, we're gonna have a lot of forewarning. It's not gonna happen all at once, right? There's gonna be a lot of stuff that's coming through. But by the year 2025, we're looking at 9 years from now, extremely unlikely that anything of that nature would come through. Maybe a couple inches in that way. But Adronis has said, you know, maybe about 30, 40 years, you'll start to notice that some of the oceans may rise a little bit more, but not by much, maybe by a couple feet at most. But as far as that happening, you're gonna have a lot of forewarning relating to that. So it's just good to, you know, maybe look into something that is a little bit more higher ground if you wanna have this in the very long term. If you're in the short term, you should be fine. But this guy was just basically asking about buying a house like right on beach property that he wants to have for many generations and stuff like that. And Jonas says, well, you know, there's always that idea if it works in the short term, but the long term, there will be some activity happening within the oceans. The water levels will rise a little bit more. So you may want to think about going a little bit more above ground just to be on the safe side in that way. But again, you will see a lot of these changes coming. It will not just hit us by surprise. Okay. So thank you so much, Bonnie, for your question. Okay, let me just go back and see where we are right now. Okay, Corey asks, could Adronis shed some light on when the triangles become active? Is it when the sun has a burst of energy, the time of the year, a combination of the two? It's a very good question, Corey. So let me just take a moment now to connect with Adronis' energy. I'm glad somebody asked about Adronis, so that's good. All you guys have to do, if you feel you want to have a question for Adronis, again, that's semi-personal or general in nature, feel free to ask in your Q&A, and I can bring Adronis in and he can elaborate a little bit about this. So again, for those of you just tuning in now, the question is, could Adronis shed some light on when the triangles become active? And I believe he's referring to the Bermuda, the dragon triangles in that sense. Is it when the sun has a burst of energy, the time of the year, a combination of the two? Okay, so one moment as I connect with Adronis' energy. Terra. Soul Star. Sirius. Adronis. We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending you love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. We say thank you to the individual known as Corey for sharing this question with us, relating to the idea of the triangles, the dimensional triangles, the dragon, the Bermuda triangles, if there is a certain time of activation to when they occur strongly. Yes, around the areas, around the time, around the folds that represent your equinoxes and your solstices. Now, basically understand that your planet has gone through a mild pole shift, a shift in that sense that was gradual, that happened over the years. This has also, in that sense, skewed somewhat of the trajectory, as the idea of the alignment of these triangular effects themselves are coordinated specifically to certain degrees of alignments as they correlate to the angular momentum and trajectory and rotation of your own stars. And so in that sense, there has been somewhat of a skewing pertaining to the idea of the energies, but nothing on a major level. But again, understand that primarily, the idea of your equinoxes, the idea of your solstices in that sense, a few weeks before, a few weeks after, around that particular transitional period, would be at the times of these sequences of activations. You would also understand, again, that there are certain forms of lunar alignments that also allow, shall we say, certain forms of activity to occur. As again, these all represent in a geographic map, a geometrical map, that relate to the angular momentum of the stars, angular momentum of the planets as well too. That can also affect lunar orbits. That can also affect the idea of the energies being dispersed through your planetary arrangements as well too, can create certain activations as well. But also understand that much of the sacred sites that have brought themselves forward upon your planet are working together as a type of shell, and that this particular shell is actually encasing itself throughout the interior of your planet and folding itself into, shall we say, the grid alignment of your world as well too. And so basically this represents what you would know as dimensional filtering, and that this particular dimensional filtering itself is actually what is helping to compose appropriate timelines in regards to what you are experiencing singularly as well as collectively upon your planet. So understand that everything that has been the grid that has been constructed upon your planet is all part of this particular filtration buffering that actually allows, shall we say, these dimensional fluctuations as a filter to commence. But it is fundamentally true that these particular natural stargates that exist upon your planet, these dimensional portals that do exist, do actually move into different orientations of the Earth. They are not actually moving into other particular planets unless there is a type of apparatus technologically that actually works as a program to, in that sense, incubate and, in that sense, create a dimensional line of sight. that actually moves into different forms of dimensionality. However, sophisticated technology would be required in order for the programming of these particular triangulons to actually collate and connect with other particular realms beyond your Earth. But in regards to its raw effect, it is simply existing in different forms of dimensional lines that we would refer to as timelines that are taking place and existing in what you would know as the sequence of your linearity pertaining to your planet Earth. So that is what we can share in comment pertaining to your question, Corey. Thank you very much. All right, great. Thank you, Corey. Very good question once again. All right, so we're just going to take about 3 or 4 more questions before we wrap it up tonight. Amar says, hello, everyone. Hello, Amar. Okay, Tim Turner here has a question. Can the information be reduced to statements of true or false? Can specific information be stated as clearly false so one can confirm this is not factually true? Is this reasonable, or does it not work that way when taking into account probability? Well, again, I think what Tim is basically elaborating on in regards to events, if something is actually in that sense factual or something that is very true, can we have a collective agreement that something is false or collective agreement that something is true? I imagine that's maybe what you're asking here, Tim. Certainly could, but I don't feel that that's how the collective of our planet works. You know, we have a lot of people in that sense that feel that Earth is 4,000 years old, right? That, you know, we've only been here 4,000 years. So again, it's really, really challenging for us to collectively agree or disagree in certain things. Really what's important is that you are an observer. It's kind of like looking that we are all part of this online role-playing game in that way. And this is what the Earth represents. The only truth and the only fact that you feel are valid are the ones that are valid through you. So again, it's not to say that, oh, we don't breathe oxygen, we breathe helium, right? So we can look into the idea that, yes, there are certain forms of technical premises that we have here on this planet, and we can pretend all we want. But it's the more that we start to filter past belief and start to look more into observation and actually starting to encapsulate information that comes through when we're present that we can agree on. You know, will everybody 100% agree that we actually breathe oxygen instead of helium? No. That's how funny our collective consciousness is. You know, for a lot of us who have looked into that common sense understanding, you know, we all breathe oxygen. We're all human beings. We all have skin in our bodies. No, it could be made of something else. You know, we could always have that particular type of disagreement. But overall, in that sense, is that there really is no universal truth. There is the truth within ourselves, within our own universe. There is our own universal truth for how we perceive reality. Because if a person wants to say, no, I'm breathing helium, and look at my voice now, it's getting so much higher, right? Whether they're joking around or whether they're serious, that's entirely up to them. But what's more important in that sense is that you know certain things to be fact. You know certain things to be truth. And that's really the key. You know, we're not here to make it feel that the entire Earth has to agree with our philosophies, even has to agree with the science or the technicalities of what makes our world go around. Some people are still seeing that this is a flat Earth and not a round Earth, right? I get that question a lot. Brad, are we in a flat Earth? Is there a flat Earth here? What's going on? Are you sure we're not in a flat Earth? All I can really say to those people is next time there's a space shuttle, and if you can sneak on board, go up and just get them to circle around the entire planet and see for yourself. My own particular perspective, we are inside a spherical Earth. We are not inside a flat Earth. I couldn't even begin to digest about what a flat Earth even looks like. So that's my own perspective. I'm not going to shove it down people's throats, but that's just my own particular perspective. Yes, our Earth is round. Our Earth is spherical. We have a beautiful spherical planet. However, another person wants to agree, so, well, what I heard from this guy, that is flat. You know, it's like a dime in that way. Or maybe we have like a little dome over ourselves in that way. That's great. If you want to believe that, you go for it. You want to believe you breathe helium? Go for it. You know, whatever it is. You want to think that your skin is made out of lollipops? Go for it, right? Whatever the idea of a person's belief, I'm not here to criticize that. But again, it's all about looking into our universal truth and our universal facts and what we feel we consider to be valid, regardless of anything else. And that's really the only way we can live, because we're experiencing our own universe. We're experiencing our own perspectives, our own manifestations, our own realities. It's a lot of crazy realities out there if you're able to tune into them. But it's just all about being able to have this certainty of what you know serves yourself, rather than feeling that something needs to be convinced, something needs to be a definite true or false, something needs to be a definite yes or no. That can certainly be definite for you. It can't be definite for anybody else, because you can't control anybody else. You can't change anybody else. You can only change yourself. Okay? Thank you, Tim, for your question. Okay, so we're going to go down to about 2 more questions here, and then we're going to wrap it up for this evening. Okay, this one is from Rosalie Parker. Rosalie asks, do we create the phenomena we experience, or do we create the experience of pre-existing phenomena? All right, very good question, Rosalie. Well, phenomena itself is, again, something that is collectively shared. You know, if we're looking into collective events, if we have, in that sense, a gigantic field where 100 people are present, and we're seeing an extraterrestrial sighting here, we have a ship flying by, basically, in that sense, is it's all part of agreements, right? The universe itself is one big phenomena altogether. What we're basically doing is that we are either attracting or repelling this particular phenomena based upon our vibration of what we align to in that way, singularly or collectively. And so the whole idea is that everything that we can experience, even in the outer realms, in the external reality itself, is a phenomena. Everything that exists within ourselves is the phenomena. So it's best to say that we ourselves are the phenomena itself. It's not existing outside of ourselves and feeling that we need to somehow attach to it, thinking that it's separate from ourselves. Everything that the universe represents is a phenomena. Everything that we are is a phenomena. Everything that's being seen and experienced by our physical senses is a phenomena. Everything happening within us right now is a phenomena. So it's all about being able to align and play out the creations that are taking place in this moment, because everything is happening now, and being able to attract certain situations that really perplex us, or that really make us feel wondrous, whatever it may be. So going back into that 100-person example, looking at this sighting, every single person will look at that sighting differently. There will not be an identicalness relating to that sighting. That sighting is always going to have different perspectives. Oh yeah, I saw it when it did the loops. I loved it when it did the loops. Oh, I loved it when it got brighter. Oh, I saw like a silver light there. Oh, I saw it kind of more white, you know, et cetera, et cetera. All of these different perspectives. It's like we're all just around a big, gigantic campfire telling our own stories to each other. And that is the phenomenon in itself, is that we are us experiencing ourselves over and over and over again in different ways. It is a fractal pattern that is continuing to branch out, continuing to move, continuing to ascend and descend simultaneously. And that we are just attracting certain portions, certain abstract images of these aspects of phenomena within ourselves to look into how we are phenomenal. You know, what is looking into our own phenomena trying to tell us? What is it about ourselves that truly is wondrous? What is something about ourselves that we notice is challenging? What is it about ourselves that is revolutionary, right? All of that comes together from us right here, right now. So everything in this moment is available to us. Every single thing that we can imagine and beyond is all around us. Because if we're looking at the conscious self as a itty bitty little teeny dot, and then we're looking at this very large ring that represents our subconscious, and then we have an infinitum beyond that that represents the unconscious. This is just, again, us as this itty bitty little tiny dot looking into conscious self perspectives, conscious based phenomena in that particular way. And that our subconscious is, again, surrealistically communicating with us as well too. But again, phenomena will always exist within. Nothing is ever separate from the one. So again, it's going back into the creational understandings. And I don't refer to these as laws. This all comes back into what is truly an understanding. It's not something that can be bent. It's not something that can be manipulated. So the two creational understandings we have are the one is the all is the one. Now is forever, forever is now. Nothing can ever escape those particular aspects of understanding. Whatever reality we exist in, one is all is one. Now is forever, forever is now. That will be it. We have certain universal laws that apply as well too, that again are just meant to be harmonized with. We have the law of free will. We have the law of equivalent exchange. We have the law of karma. We have the law of attraction and repulsion. We have the law of space and time. We have the law of cause and effect, right? All of these in that sense can be bypassed. They can be harmonized with. But when we're looking at the creational understandings, we will always be one as all is one. We will always be now and forever, forever and now. That is inescapable. That's the whole idea. And so the phenomena will always be ourselves observing ourselves, because phenomena will always exist. Even just looking at ourselves right now. Oh, I like looking at my hands. They're nice. It's a phenomenon within itself. I'm observing myself in this video. Ah, it feels nice. It's a phenomenon, right? We're always experiencing it based upon how we perceive phenomena as a perspective. So again, thank you very much, Rosalie, for your question. Okay, we're going to take one last question, and we're going to wrap up for tonight. So let's see what we can go through here. Just scrolling down. Some good questions here, guys. It's hard to say how to choose the last one here. Okay, I'm just going to work with Anthony Garcia's question here. How are we able to use the electromagnetheric aspects of ourself? Very good question. So basically looking almost at our own ley lines in our own electromagnetism. Well, we have to make contact with that. We have to understand that that is a portion of our reality. That's a part of our reality, or that's a grandiose aspect of our reality. So the electromagnetheric aspect, yes, absolutely exists, and we can work with it. It's like looking at the aspects of the mind. When people go into hypnosis, they feel that they're able to connect with other aspects of their being that they never thought. Now, all of a sudden, they're clucking like a chicken. They're actually able to speak a language as a chicken, right? They're actually able to move themselves into becoming another person altogether and sharing all the scientific knowledge that they could never grasp. So it's being able to really inherit the aspect of yourself that plays that part of the mind or plays that part of the heart. So if we're looking into our own electromagnetic grids, what would we like to do with that? What would we like to explore? Well, we maybe want to develop more healing systems, utilizing the ability of our electromagnetism. Can you connect with that electromagnetism? Can you feel it vibrating within your body? Can you connect in regards to the vital energies, the auric energies, the astral energies, the etheric energies, the akashic energies? Can we connect to all of these things? Can we feel them? Can we have a relationship with them? Well, yes, I can. Then you can. So you are actually talking to that electromagnetic energy, because that is consciousness, that is intelligence, that is part of infinite intelligence. And so if you are able to connect with that particular plateau, you could work with your electromagnetic energies to increase your own auric broadening range. You can utilize it to help connect with more telepathic communication with areas of your body. You can utilize it again to open up telepathic transmissions with others, to, again, just being able to open yourself up, become an empath, become visual, whatever it may be. So the answer is yes, you can certainly connect with the electromagnetic energies, but you have to see how it relates to you. It's like with me communicating with Dronas. I'm able to connect with him because I have a relationship with that energy. I know what his energy means to me. And so therefore I can connect to it. Your own electromagnetic energies, if you feel you form a relationship with that, you feel that maybe you close your eyes and you start seeing this flurry of colors, and you're talking to it and saying, yes, I represent your electromagnetic field. And now you start communicating with it. Now you start seeing about how sensations can start coming through your body, how you can start saying, yeah, I just want you to pass through my fingers right now, through my hand, down my arm, up my shoulder, around my chest. I want to feel that vibration. Stay in relationship with that energy, and now you're going to start feeling that sensation. This is exactly what I did when I first started to awaken. I would go into meditation states, and it was like I was playing a first-person, I don't want to say a first-person shooter, but like a first-person experience, right? I was going through these mazes. I was going through these doors, and I would be able to see like these gigantic crystalline orbs that some were glowing like blue light, some were silver light, etc. I was able to touch these orbs, and I was actually feeling currents of energy, of electromagnetic energy, passing through my entire body. And it was an amazing sensation. It was just like, it was like being bathed in light. It felt really great. And then I'd wake up the next morning and I'd know things I didn't know before. So I basically had a download experience, playing with my own magnetism, playing with these akashic aspects of myself that are now being downloaded in that way. So if you form a relationship with the idea of your electromagnetic energy, of your akashic records, of other guides, of your higher self, etc., you can communicate and work together with all of these, because again, we all are wired differently in that way, relating to how we access information, how we can look into our own inner states of enlightenment. So it's all about playing with that energy and forming a relationship with it all together. Okay. Thank you guys so much for wonderful questions tonight. The amazing, awesome audience. You guys are wonderful. And thank you so much for tuning into this broadcast this evening of the Reality Whisperer webcast. So feel free to join us next week, again, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. Again, we'll be talking about the aura, the energy body, and healing technology. So again, really looking forward to that. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great rest of the evening and a wonderful week. And I will talk to you next week. Take care. Namaste. And may it be well with you. Goodbye.